The date, July 2021. The place, Lilongwe, the warm heart of Africa, Malawi. It's an unremarkable weekend, except for the legion of trucks that's rolling through the city, making its way to a place called Kenyatta Drive. The legion of trucks consists of earth-moving equipment, bulldozers and the like. There's some excitement in the city, because this means a long-awaited road project is about to begin, and the headaches of traffic may become a thing of the past. But on Monday morning, a different story. The city wakes up to the sight of thousands of chopped trees laying by the roadsides. Reaction? Anything from dismay to extremely tearful bewilderment. Why? Was it necessary that all these trees needed to be cut down? 1,000 mahogany trees, locally called Nubawa, hundreds of Malina trees and other indigenous trees. Was it absolutely necessary? These trees had stood for decades, giving shade to all, welcoming you into the city. The dismayed public demanded answers. This picture, as you can see, is of construction vehicles. These construction vehicles are parked under the few remaining trees, specifically preserved by the road construction company for the purpose of giving shade to the construction crew and the team. Irony, right? Meanwhile, across the street, people are walking, hurrying under the beating sun to the market, to the hospital, trying to take their sick loved ones to care, trying to figure out what to do under the heat of the Lilongwe sun. So, the roads authorities besieged by civil society, by angry property owners and residents, demanding answers. How could this happen? How could this happen without the legally required environmental impact study? And so the axes came down. This time, different kinds of headrolls, because accountability matters. Meanwhile, Lilongwe City Council decided to give a promise to the city and the nation. They decided that the trees that came down would be protected, the timber harvested locally and used to fill another need for desks for many schools around the country, and this happened. You can see in this image, these are desks that were made by Lilongwe Technical College that would be going out to different schools around Malawi. Nice, right? But we got busy too. Further up the street on Kenyatta Drive, next to Parliament, is the Lilongwe Botanical Gardens and National Herbarium. This is a very, very important place where what I think of as I'm Snow White and they're my dwarfs, very, very busy, very politically correct dwarfs, very busy making decisions around greenery. We decided to immediately go into action, and we came up with the idea of creating a new set of trees, because the Lilongwe City Council had promised to replant the trees, right? So instead of 1,000 or a couple of thousands, we decided to propagate immediately 50,000 mahogany trees. 50,000 seedlings to replace 1,000, 150,000 indigenous trees also seeded to replace the other thousands of trees that were coming down all over the city. It wasn't just about this project. Lilongwe's roads and Lilongwe's ecosystem is deeply in distress. Lilongwe City Council made another promise a year later. Just a few months ago at Christmas, together with the Ministry of Local Government and the UNDP, they unveiled at the top of Kenyatta Drive, at the roundabout next to Parliament, the trees, and promised to the city of Lilongwe that these would not only be replanted, but that they would fulfill the initial dream of Lilongwe to be a garden city. Because as we know, Lilongwe is very famous for its dust. We know that, we call it Fumbiville, which means dusty city. And there's so many memes about Lilongwe. If you're not from Lilongwe, you probably tease us about this. Yeah, Fumbiville. But before we became Fumbiville, we were a very different region, okay? A long time ago, before I was here, before we were all here, Lilongwe was a place that was filled with rivers and forests and wetlands, and elephants roamed around here, and the birds and the bats competed for trees. Nobody disturbed them. The people lived in harmony with nature. And fast forward, the British came and decided to make a settlement here on two sides of Lilongwe River. The bottom side was called Lilongwe because that's where the elephants went to drink and give birth. It was a sacred place. They decided the natives and the Asians would settle on that side. And on the top side here, Bwaila, where we are, which is aptly named for this TEDxBwaila conference, they decided the residents would be, the colonial residents would be here and the administration of the colony would be here. Fast forward again, and we're in Kamuzu times, and it's the 70s, and Kamuzu decides that, this needs to be a city that is vibrant and become the capital city. So we make Lilongwe the capital city. Fantastic. And so we move forward, and before you know it, we've become a city that is overrun with people. We're crowded. We've got people everywhere, vehicles everywhere. It's pedestrians, it's vendors, it's unpleasant. It's very much like many other cities around the world, except we can't handle it, okay? This is Lilongwe when it's pretty much not yet overrun, but now we're over 2 million people, and it's a mess. What else is going on? The rivers that were so pristine and well taken care of are now polluted with effluent and bogged down with trash. What else is happening? Well, we're in this interesting times, aren't we now, where we're cutting down trees, and around the world a lot of heat is going up, temperatures are soaring, climate is in crisis, right? Weather is changing, we've got cyclones happening, we've got floods happening, yeah? Lilongwe is not unaffected. We've had floods happen here, we've seen it. And so we've had COVID as well, cholera. All of this is happening, and what can we do about it? This isn't the city that we envisioned, and this is certainly not the city that we need. Well, this is also happening right now in what we call the UN Decade for Restoration. From 2021 to 2030, we're being presented with a very unique and possibly final opportunity to redress the wrongs, to turn things around and save our planet and save ourselves. Meet Lilongwe Ecological Corridor. This initiative is endorsed by the city of Lilongwe and has a number of partners, and I lead this team. I'm very proud of this project because what we seek to do in this partnership is to reclaim life around the two rivers. Many people might not realize this, but Lilongwe is Lingazhi River and Lilongwe River. So from top stream to bottom stream, we aim to very much take care of the riverine and to restore it. We're working with different organizations to replant the riverine, restore the ecology. We aim to move the markets from the riverside and the main market to new locations. That's already in progress. We've identified new locations. And we aim to restore the biodiversity of those spaces. We want to bring commerce to the economy. We want to create jobs. Tourism matters. Tourism brings in money. Ministry of Tourism is planning a beautiful pathway running from Lingazhi Bridge all the way to the bypass, past Old Town and the bridge to the bypass, a walkway that you can walk through by the riverside. We could be that kind of city. Impressive? Yes. Is it possible? Absolutely. Does it seem impossible? Of course it does, until you realize, if you look outside of ourselves, other people have done it. The Thames did it. London did it with the Thames River. Tokyo did it. And now, just recently, just this month, Nairobi announced that it's doing it for its rivers. It wants to reclaim its city too. So it's not impossible. It's actually critical, because rivers are the lifeline of communities. We need water to survive. It's actually a human right. We need water for hygiene and sanitation. We need water for agriculture, for food. We need water because water is simply life. We know that the ecological corridor is going to provide jobs because green jobs matter. Lilongwe has a population of about 2 million, like I said before, but did you know that only 40%, less than 40%, have access to electricity? So what's the other 60-something% cooking with? Cooking with charcoal, yeah? From illegally harvested wood that comes from forests that are protected. And where are those forests? Just in the same district of Lilongwe. So we're depleting our forests, we're harming our rivers in order to feed ourselves. So we need alternative fuels and renewable energies to feed this population. It is possible, it is happening, the corridor is working hard to make sure this happens. We want to fuel a future that is greener and cleaner for Lilongwe. That's not Lilongwe. That's Cape Town, that's Century City, and it's lovely. But we could be like this could be us. We can rebuild Lilongwe. We can rebuild Lilongwe by reimagining it as a city that cares about itself. Have you heard of the broken windows theory? This theory postulates that if a house is run down and abandoned, not cared for, and one window gets broken by a passerby, the next passerby may come along and also throw a couple of stones and a few more windows get broken, etc., till the house is a hot mess. Well, it's the same here. If we don't care for our environment and we keep tearing it down, we're going to keep tearing it down because it looks like nobody cares about it, and our mindset isn't about care and reclaiming, but we do. So we begin now with the ecological corridor and we spread out to the rest of the Lilongwe district and areas. That is the dream. But it takes more than me, more than just you in this room or the audience that's listening and watching online. It takes a lot of political will. As you heard before, it takes authorities to do what they say they're going to do and to be held accountable. We need political will at the very highest levels. We need civil society to hold government accountable. We need people to participate, to imagine what the city can be like and then actively get involved in making it happen. Don't throw those stones through the windows. Don't throw that trash. We can make a plan. Waste management is possible, and we are reclaiming those rivers and making sure that we create an economy that knows that we can make money from waste. The circular economy is real, and it is going to happen in the corridor. We need the donors to keep partnering with us and give us support. We need, guess who? Private sector, because private sector hold real dollars. But they do CSR investment, CSR contributions as opposed to core investment. We need them to believe in the green dream, and it's possible. Look at me, I'm proof, okay? Most people who know me wouldn't call me a tree hugger, but I am. And I bet anyone who likes shade as opposed to standing in the beating sun is a tree hugger. You don't have to be a biologist to be a conservationist and care about the environment. We know that we can marry and balance the needs of nature, the needs of people, in order to meet the Sustainable Development Goals and the progressive development of Malawi's Vision 2063. So I leave you with these words from our very wise President, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, which is this: as a nation, we cannot keep our date with destiny without settling our debt with nature. We've got to save our environment in order to save the only home that God gave us to live in on this earth. So you see, the Lilongwe we want, the Lilongwe we need, is a Lilongwe that will come out of the dust into a new and green dawn.